or negotiations, no.
So Bowlsby is going to leave later in the year. Mack Rhoades, that 10-year extension. Again, I've told you, I just got the feeling, I wasn't here yesterday, but that it was proactive for a couple of different reasons. Was it because some other schools have been after him? Every time Baylor had something good happen, the Big 12 championship, the Sugar Bowl, winning the women's basketball regular season title with a new coach, or Scott Drew, there was always somebody that probably said, man, why don't we get what they do there here? And there are openings that happen quite a bit. Dennis Moore, do you let Mack Rhoades take over, or do you hold him to a 10-year extension? The 10-year extension was proactive because Baylor had to know the decision that was coming out today with Bob Bowlsby. And I was even told there would be some industry announcement after 3 o'clock this afternoon. There's a couple of other things that Baylor's working on when it comes to athletics and stuff for down the road, but I did not know. I had no idea that this was going to be the story. Now,
yeah, I mean, I think the announcement, I know that coaches sign contracts and we go, like, it doesn't mean anything, but I think in Mack Rhoades' case, that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think that they probably had discussions about what was about to drop and, because, I mean, the last thing you do is if you have an inkling, which clearly they did, that something was about to change, the last thing you do is go announce it the day before if you had any thought that he might be interested in that switch. So, no, I think that that's probably been cleared up, but, it's anyone's guess as to who else might be in that mix. Like, is there a current other Big 12 AD that makes any sense? Is there, somebody we're not thinking of? Is it a TV executive? Like you said, Paul, I mean, with those rights coming up, I think Kliavkoff's been okay. I don't know that it's helped them that much, and we don't know really, and we won't know until those contracts are negotiated. So we're still a little bit of a ways out from really seeing how much that helps them. And, and that will be really telling, I think, too, because I do think the Big 12 is a more attractive brand than the Pac-12 right now, just about in every way, really. Maybe I'm wrong on one or two things, but the Big 12 has a prime opportunity here,
Yep.
To do something.
A lot of new commissioners, from Kliavkoff to what you mentioned with the SEC, what we mentioned with Warren in the Big 10, and then also now with whatever the Big 12 does. A couple more chat room comments, and then 254-339-1122. This is from Cody, and I think probably a lot of people may feel this way. I appreciate what Bowlsby did after the chaos, but I still consider him negligent for letting it happen. Also, not to forget the Baylor TCU co-championship issues. Baylor fans will never forget it. Bowlsby has explained that, even if you don't want to hear him, and even if you don't want to hear what he said, that went by the bylaws. Even though you would. I even thought back then.
You get paid paid big bucks to do unpopular things sometimes,
It was a dumb bylaw, and I think they know that now. But
that's why it changed.
But that's why it changed. But at the time, they were trying to game the system, and they wound up playing right into the committee's hands and giving them an excuse to leave somebody out. I think here's the other thing.
Can the commissioner overrule the bylaws? We don't know.
No, but
he could have made a comment.
But he could have made a different comment, but he didn't, and that's how it goes, and Baylor fans are never going to forgive him for it. But to say that Bob Bowlsby was asleep at the wheel when this happened, every other AD was asleep at the wheel. Like, this was a clandestine, this is like U-571. Like, the Nazis didn't know that we were going to go into, steal their stuff in the submarines. Like, I'm not trying to... Forgive me on the Texas comparison, but I look, Texas and Oklahoma made this very clandestine, and they kept that circle small because they knew that if it was more than
2 or 3,
whatever the total number of people was, it was going to get out, and it would have gotten headed off at the pass.
Guess who also a lot of other commissioners and other conferences did not know? Smalls. Bowlsby has done a great job handling the aftermath of Texas OU's exit announcement. With that said, he still has responsibility for that occurring under his watch, and a fresh start is called for. That's a very fair point, no question about it.
I don't blame him for not knowing, because no one did. Like you said, maybe 3-4 people, max probably, maybe 1 or 2 more had to have any inkling about it. So I don't really blame him for that, but it was on his watch. It was. And it was a dramatic, monumental shift in not just his own conference, but in the entire landscape of college athletics. The type of move that caused the Big 12 to nearly crater in the midst of, thinking that they were A-OK. So, I can't put all the blame on him for that, but it did happen on his watch. I'm not going to hold a grudge though, because they did navigate it pretty well right afterwards. But yeah, I think just overall, I think, he was a lot more likable there by the end than he was certainly like 2 or 3 years ago if you were living in Waco or if you were a Baylor fan. And I understand that to an extent, but I enjoyed our conversations with him. I thought he was a super intelligent guy. And I think, too, like, we act like we would do something so different and we would run things differently. And then but we never, ever consider, like, all of the politicking that's going on and all of those conversations and then the effects that one decision has on the effects, like, a year later or 2 years later. And so it's like, sometimes you have to make the unpopular decision, and sometimes you have to do things that don't seem right, but they ultimately will be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so, it's a tough position to be in, but that's why you get paid the big bucks.
Joey Kelly, I thought Bowlsby handled the exit of Texas and Oklahoma as well as possible. Not sure why he felt it was necessary to step down. I don't think he's stepping down in a few months because of Texas and Oklahoma. I think there was wear and tear and attrition and emotion and all that probably wore him the hell out. I think he's stepping away because the conference, now you can, and let the next person take them to the next whatever it is, television contract, or if there's any more expansion in the future. I think Bob Bowlsby would not have stepped down if the conference was in disarray. I think what he did was, okay, let's try to fix this, and others helped him along the way. And now that things seem to be at least normal or calm, now it's probably a good time. Let a few more months go by, check the boxes, and then let somebody else take over.
Yeah, there's a great many things to navigate. And look, I think that what the last year has done has allowed Bowlsby to leave with a nice passing grade. Like he nobody's going to give him an A+ for his time.
Nope.
Maybe not even an A-, but he's in a solid B range now because the conference is alive.
Some of you who watch us now and started to pick up on us what we did late July after the Texas and Oklahoma announcement from Brent Zimmerman and the Houston Chronicle. Imagine a lot of you wouldn't even know we existed, and we wouldn't know of you either. A lot of what we do now and a lot of our audience on YouTube, yes, there's the core of what we've always done, but a lot of you have become family because of what happened with Texas and Oklahoma, and because they saved the conference is why you still, we hope, are a part of what we do every day.
I mean, he's been working for 40 plus years. So, I mean, he's already at a point where, take away all the drama and stuff we're talking about. If he just naturally decided to retire, nobody would question it. So, I think that's just a natural move, probably for a guy who's, been in service for a long time, has probably made some pretty good money and wants to enjoy retirement in his later years and wants to do so before all hell breaks loose on 15 other new things that you have to deal with as a commissioner or as a person in college athletics nowadays. So yeah, with the transition and with a new TV deal and NIL and all these other things, yeah, I mean it's a nice transition. It makes some sense when you think about it that way.
William Bowman, new commissioner, needs to negotiate Texas and Oklahoma exit as quick as possible with no drama. From Matt Carver. Bye, Bob. From JG, every person has their price and breaking point. And also from Scotty B, I would give Bob a B- on the job as a Big 12 commissioner, but I can't give him a better grade than that. And so on and on. And Mike said, hey, you left things, he left when things can't get better. By the way, Kansas, according to Mike, won the national championship.
Yeah, I mean, you got a team in your conference that won the title last night, giving you 2 in a row. And, I know a lot of people pointed it out on Twitter, so kind of hive mind here. But, you were looking at potential of 4 in a row. If or at least Texas Tech played in it 4 years ago. And then you had the COVID year, obviously. But a lot of people feel like Baylor would have been right there in that mix. Mm-hmm. And then, now the last 2 officially. But, yeah, with your school – or with your conference school winning a title last night and just everything on the horizon, I think the timing makes some sense and was pretty well thought out. But still shocking, surprising, and now a landmark decision for the Big 12 to have to make on who's going to be guiding them through this very murky and not like negative all the way, but just very uncertain time period that we are in right now.
And commissioner free agency isn't like in the NBA or the NFL, where you can think like, okay, well, the Cowboys need a defensive end, and this is their press range who's out there. It's not. There's not a website I'm sure there is, but it's not like something that people go to and go, oh, this is the next guy up in the commissioner AAA ranks. It's just not. I mean, so it's going to be something completely. It could be it might wind up being a commissioner from a smaller conference who's navigated things really well and about to come into the big leagues. I don't think that'll be it, but there's so many different ways they could go with this. Let's go to Stephen in Virginia. Stephen, thanks for your call, 254-339-1122.
Good afternoon, guys. First, I hope that Bob Bowlsby enjoys retirement. I just saw this, so I didn't know this was going to happen today, but he deserves a retirement and a life filled without chaos after the last year. With 48 hours away from opening day, I know all three of you are baseball fans. So I just wanted to ask you, are you excited for opening day?
Yeah, I am. There was a month or so ago when they were having all the labor issues that I really didn't care if they started or not. But I'm a sports fan, and I am. I don't know if I'm going to sit down. It's the Masters for me this week. National Championship, the Masters week, and opening day in baseball. That's a pretty good threesome right there. About as good as it gets for 1 week of sports.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. You know, it's just got to temper the excitement level and kind of let it I can't get too hyped up early. It's a long, long season. You know, like we got those 110-degree days in like July where the Rangers are in game 45, you know, and it's
now they don't have to worry about it.
Well, yeah,
they have the air conditioning.
Well, no, that's true. Yeah. But, you know, so it's a long haul. So I'm not getting like over my skis at all, but no, I'm definitely excited. And you know, it helps that the team I root for actually tried to, you know, do some things in the offseason to actually win games, which is amazing. And it doesn't feel like they've really done that all that often, or when they have, it's been kind of half-hearted or not the best moves. But I think the Rangers have shown this offseason that they are, you know, they're at a point now where they're like, all right, we got to go and spend some money and get this thing going because it has been for, 2 or 3, maybe even longer now. It's just been kind of middle of the road baseball. So I am excited to see a team that, you know, clearly they are they're putting some effort into and putting some excitement behind. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go through what is my emotional roller coaster.
I walked in the door, and there was a Red Sox preseason game, or whatever you want to call it.
And that would be nice to go home after 6 or whatever and just you sit down and there's baseball on in the background, you know, on the TV. So that's always kind of nice to just have that as background or, you know, foreground, depending on how good the game is. But that I am looking forward to that, and, you know, being able to pop on the radio on occasion and, you know, just hear old baseball game being called. That always brings back good memories.
Here's one note from the Bob Bowlsby, the statement or the release by the Big 12, commissioner of the Big 12. Until the appointment of a new commissioner will then, at the request of the conference, transition to a new interim role with the conference, subject to mutual agreement. So he's not like walking out the door tomorrow, and he's not leaving until there's a new commissioner. And so there could be a while, whether the Big 12 has already targeted somebody. I'm sure they have their list like everybody does, but Bob Bowlsby will remain the commissioner until further notice.
Apparently the top 2 candidates, Chris Del Conte and Joe Castiglione. I don't know if we should believe that or not. I don't know. It seems like a wrong report to me.
I don't think so. They're about to leave to a foreign land from the Big 12. Cameron on the board said, get Oliver Luck on the phone ASAP. That would be an interesting candidate.
Oliver Luck was very instrumental when all hell broke loose in late July of a year ago. Oliver Luck was somebody that did have Bob Bowlsby's ear and vice versa. And he was one that did, I don't want to say, I'm not saying he negotiated, but he was involved in looking at some of the options and helping Bob Bowlsby in the Big 12 through that time.
Yeah, I think that actually just Googled it for the sake of it, and there's already a bunch of people suggesting Oliver Luck, yeah, and or at least bringing up his name. I see it's kind of, I guess, a lot of people's immediate thought must have been Oliver Luck. So, yeah, nice pointing that out. And he would make some sense. I mean, last I saw, he was tangled in a lawsuit. I don't know how much merit there is to it over the XFL with Vince McMahon. Yep. That's the last I saw on Oliver Luck, so I don't know what else he's been up to.
I tend to believe him.
Yeah, I mean, I probably do too, but that whole thing was just such a mess anyways, that The Rock came in and bought it. But, that would definitely be a name I think we got to take into account.
Here's a couple of other notes.